Hello there everyone, my name is Crazy Caleb and welcome to the Sequential button. This is a continuation of our Vanilla Swirl series that we're going to be covering. This one is one of the easier ones to understand, but it is a little bit tricky to pull off. It's not too bad. So let's have a look at this module. So on this module, this is a combination of the wire sequence and the vanilla button in this case. And what we're going to do is we're going to be cutting a wire from this series of wires that we have here, and we're going to be holding and releasing the button um, at a specific amount of time. Now we can hold it at any time, but we have to release it at a specific time based off of a couple of things. So let's see what we have to do. So all we have to do is the first option. The first things first that we have to get is we need to get the amount of wires that we have present in on the module, and this is going to range from 2 wires to 9 wires. So let's have a look and let's see what we have here. And by the way, it's important to note that so we have to unlock the next panel by holding down the button and releasing it at the correct time as directed by table B, which we'll get into in just a moment. And do not switch to the next panel until the only correct wire is cut as directed by table A. So ideally what you want to do is you want to cut the wire first, then hold the button. It's just much easier to do that. So, and if you want to return to a previous panel, which granted you really won't need to do that much, but if you need to return to a previous panel, you can do that by pressing and immediately releasing the button, and we're going to advance to an unlocked panel by holding the button and releasing it any time after the LEDs begin to flash. So you'll see that later on down the line. So, and one important thing to note is the wires are ordered from top to bottom on the left set of ports. So in this case, if we take a look at the ports here, each port can have a maximum of 3 wires in it, as you can see by those little slots here and where they're connecting to. So, and the way that it's ordered is from top to bottom. So in this case, it's yellow, black, yellow, red, and red, blue, and black. And in this case, this is 9 wires. So we're going to go down to 9 wires, and we're going to go to this section and follow the first rule that applies. So, because it's an if or otherwise case. So, our first rule, if no wire color occurs 3 times, exactly 3 times, let's have a look. In this case, black occurs 3 times, so that rule is already not true. Next up, otherwise, if there are 3 uniquely colored wires, cut the uniquely colored wire connected to port A. Let's check. So, unique specifically is referring to if there is exactly 1 occurrence of a specific wire color. And in this case, we have 0 whites, we have 3 blacks, we've got 2 reds, 2 blues, and 2 yellows. There are no unique wires on here. There are 4 distinct color wires, in this case, black, blue, yellow, and red. Distinct meaning that it simply appears, it doesn't matter how many occurrences happen, but the colors themselves are different. So in this case, that rule is not true. There are no uniques, as I just said, so let's have a look at the next rule. If no wire has the button's color, if this color was white, in this case, that would be true, but we do have 2 blues present, so therefore this is not true. Otherwise, if port A has a uniquely colored wire, we just said that we had no unique colored wires, so therefore that rule is not true. Otherwise, if exactly 1 wire has the button's color, in this case, no. There's 2 blue wires, we need 1 of them, that is not true. Otherwise, if the 3rd and 7th wire are the same color, so remember this is where we have to do top to bottom from the left port, so 1, 2, 3. So we're looking for 2 blues, so that's the 3rd position. 4, 5, 6, and 7, blue and red do not match. So blue being the 3rd, 7th being the red, those do not match, so therefore this rule is not true. Otherwise, if the last wire is uniquely colored, already as I mentioned, there are no unique colored wires in this case, and it's black too, so there's 2 more of them, so therefore this rule is not true. Otherwise, if there are exactly 2 unique colored wires, which I just said there were no uniquely colored wires, so in this case, otherwise we're simply going to be cutting the 4th wire. So in this case, 1, 2, 3, and a 4. And just like that, that's good to go. So now, let's head on to table B, and now we simply need to hold and release the button. So what exactly are we going to be doing with this part of this module? So, to determine the correct release time, because we can hold it down at any time that we want to, we need to count the number of occurrences of each color of LED. So effectively what's going to happen here is each of these 4-stage LEDs will light up to be either red, blue, yellow, or white, which you'll see in just a moment. And the LEDs are cumulative over all panels within the module. So what's going to happen here is it's similar to the wire sequence portion of this, where you're simply keeping track of every single LED occurrence throughout the entire module. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take the sum of these values corresponding to each of the number of occurrences, and every digit of the sum must be present on the bomb timer when the button is released. So let's say we get an example of red, red, blue, and white, for example. So what's going to happen here is we have 2 occurrences of red, 1 occurrence of blue, and 1 occurrence of white. So we got 1 occurrence of blue, 1 occurrence of white. And notice that this little hash mark represents the amount of occurrences that we've had. So what we need to do is instead of in this case noting down, for example, going 2 and 7, in this case we're only going to note down 7 because this is the second occurrence. We're looking for just the highest amount of occurrences that have happened at the specific point. And then for the next stage, for example, if we were to get red, yellow, blue, blue, for example, what would happen here is red would go up by 1, yellow would go to 1, blue would then go up by 2, and this would be what it looks. And we would still, by the way, would be adding the white occurrence as well. It's very important that you do that for every stage. So in this case, that would be 11 plus 10 plus 1 plus 3. So just to be very, very important to note that you do add 4 digits if you have 4 occurrences. Obviously, if they have no occurrences, you simply are just not going to add anything. So just be very careful with that. But that's all there really is to it. So let's hop right into the holding, and I'm going to have a little handy-dandy calculator on the side for the time being, and I will highlight this later on after we do the holding and releasing part of this. But remember, every digit of the sum must be present in the bomb's timer when the button is released, and this can include minutes as well, I should mention. So if your sum, for example, is a 41, for example, if it obviously isn't going to happen this time around. But in this case, you would have to release it. For example, you could do 2401. That would work perfectly fine because the 4 and the 1 are present just somewhere in there. The 21, the 2 for the 10 minutes timer would totally be fine to use, and then you can just release it on the 1 whenever you want to. So that just gives you an idea of how that works. It doesn't specifically say that it needs to be limited to the 2 seconds digits in this case, because you'd be holding for a long time if it was something else. So let's have a look, and let's hold down the button, and let's see what we get. So we release so we press this once to get the cover over, and let's see what we have here. So I'm going to be using my calculator. We've got 2 whites, so that's going to be a total of 6, so we're going to add that. We have 1 yellow and 1 red, which is going to be 2 and a 1. So in this case, we got a total of 9, so we're going to release this when the digit is 9 present. Perfect. So we had 1 red, 1 yellow, and 2 whites. 2 plus 1 plus 6 is 9. All we simply had to do was release it when a 9 was present in the serial. So now, we're going to keep these notes in mind for the next stage. And now we're simply going to cut in a wire, and we're going to do this for 4 stages. So let's hop into the next part of this module. How many wires do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we've got 7 wires. Let's go to the 7-wire section. If there's exactly 1 port with exactly 1 wire and more than 1 wire of that wire's color, let's take a look. Charlie does have exactly 1 port with exactly 1 wire. That's correct. And there is more than 1 white wire. Yes, that is true. Cut the second wire of its color. So in this case, first white wire, second white wire. And whenever you do interact with this, it will close the cover. I believe this was intended. So just be aware of the fact that that's going to happen. I'm not sure why it has to behave like that, but that's just the way that it works. So in this case, that was correct. And every single time we only have to cut 1 wire. So let's take a look and let's see what we have to do for this next stage. So now, if we get, for example, another red, this will go down to 7 or whatever it might be down below. So let's hop into this next little bit here. So let's hold it. 1 of each. Okay, so the 2 is going to go down to the 7. So 7. The 0 is going to go down to the 1. So it's going to be 4 for the blue. Yellow is going to go down to 5, and white is going to go down to 9. Okay, so 25. So we need to release it when I say 2 and a 5. So we can do it now because the 2 was in the minutes area here, and the 5 was in the 10 seconds digits. So let's add 1 to each of these. Bam, bam, and bam. And just like that, this is what we're looking at right now. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wires this time around. So 6 wires. If there are no uniquely colored wires, yellow is unique in this case because there's only exactly 1 occurrence. There's also a blue, so therefore that is not true. If any port is empty, no, the Bravo, the 8 is close to being empty, but not quite. If there is both a white wire and a black wire, no white wire is present, so that's not true. If there are no wires that have the button's color, nope, we've got one that's blue. If the button is blue, okay, perfect, cut the last wire. Here we go, and that's good to go. Alrighty, let's have a look at our next hold. So let's hold it down, and let's open where we get some good stuff. And one of each again. Okay, so now we're going to increase every single one of them by each by one. So in this case, it's going to be 11, 8, 18, and 15, which is going to be a 52. So this is going to be the closest time I'm going to have to release this at is going to be at the 25. The order itself does not matter, so just let me make that clear. But in this case, 25 will work because our total is 52. That's good to go. So now let's bring all of these down here. So in this case, just to show you, I will pop out a handy dandy calculator. Actually, you know, let's pop out the CFC calculator. 11, in this case, as you can see, 11 plus 8 plus 15 plus 18 does equal the 52. And that's exactly what we needed to do there. So just wanted to show you that in case you doubted me. And for our final wire count, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've got 5 wires. So each a bunch of different sections. I'm glad we're able to show these off. So the 5 wires, if exactly one port has 3 wires connected to it, yes, that is true. This Charlie port has 3 of them connected to it. Yes. Got the second wire connected to that port. So in this case, we're going to cut this red here, which is good. Perfect. And now we're on to our final hold. Let's see what we get here. All right, so 2 yellows and 2 whites. That's what we're going to increase this by. So for the red and the blue, which I can still see the colors up top a little bit here, we're still going to add on the 11 and 18. And 8, excuse me. So that's added, so that's 19 right there. And then now we're going to increase this 3 by 2 more, so the 21 for the yellow. And then we're going to increase the 4 to the 6, so that gives us 23. So we need to release this on a 6 and a 3, which we will not be able to do for a little while. So we'll have to do it on 36. That'll be the closest time that we can do this. And then once we release this, the module will hopefully solve. 36 is coming up shortly here. And just like that is a solved module. Overall, fairly simple to do, fairly simple to pull off and understand. Just a little bit weird when you're doing it on EFMing and you have to kind of highlight them later on down the line. So, but as you can see, you still are going to add every single digit, even if it's not present on that specific stage. So just be very careful with that. So let's do one more example. Module itself is fairly simple to understand and do. It's just make sure that I would advise you do the wire cutting first. I didn't show off returning to the previous panel because I myself have not actually done it, so I'm willing to have a look at it. But in this case, I think once you're done, and you can advance to the unlock panel by holding and releasing it at any time after the LEDs begin to flash. So in this case, since you've already done that stage and you've completed it, you can see for a fact that that's it. So it effectively is a way to make sure that you didn't miss any of the occurrences of the LEDs, similar to how you can check for the wires back in wire sequence. I believe that that's the idea behind that. So let's do one more here, and we'll be done. All right. What have we got here?
There is only one perfect solution.
9 to start us off.
Clues that will try to trick our team.
No wire colors occurs 3 times. Red immediately, I can already tell, occurs 3 times. If there are 3 uniquely colored wires, blue and yellow are unique. Black is not, white is not, red is not. So therefore, that's not true. If no wire has the button's color, nope. Red is present a lot. If the A port has a uniquely colored wire, no, it does not. Blue and yellow go to Bravo and Charlie, unfortunately. If there's exactly one wire that has the button's color, false. There are 3 of them. If the 3rd and 7th are the same, the 3rd is a uniquely colored wire, so we already know for a fact that that's not it. If the last wire is uniquely colored, white is not unique, so therefore that's not true. If there are exactly 2 unique colored wires, yes, that is true. Now, what it wants us to do is it's going to want us to cut one of those two wires according to the two wires rule list. So now, between this blue and yellow here, we need to now go up to the 2-wire list. There's some cases where it will force you to go to the 2-wire list. It's actually, I think, the most common transformation. So let's take a look. If exactly one wire has the button's color, in this case, that's not true. If both wires have the same color, no. If the wires share a port, yes, that is true. Therefore, they share the one port. So what we can then do is we can then say we're going to cut the last wire of these two. So we're going to cut the yellow. That's good to go. Perfect. Now let's hold down the button, and let's see what we get. So 2 blues is an 8. 1 red and 1 yellow is 2 and 1. So that's just 11. So just release it out of 1. That's perfect. Nice thing about duplicate digits is you don't need to have 2 of them. If, in this case, you happen to have a 1 in the ones place, and in the 10 seconds digit, 10 seconds digit, yep, that would work perfectly fine. Duplicate digits do not matter, it's just they simply need to be all present. That's all that matters. And in this case, both ones would apply to that 1. Perfect. So, now, if we want to take a look back at the previous stage, we can do that, and as you can see, we look back here, and then once they start to flash, you can release them at any time. 2 blues, 1 red, and 1 yellow. It's a nice way of making sure that, you keep track of them in the right place. Because holding it down, I might forget to note one of them down right or wrong. It's just, sometimes my memory can mess with me. So in this case, our next stage, we've got 5 wires. So let's take a look here. If exactly one port has 3 wires connected to it, yes, this happens to be the exact same case that we get. They're all going to Charlie. Connect the second wire connected to that port. There we go. Okay, and let's hold down the button, and let's see what we get. All right, so 2 reds, so that becomes an 11. No blues, that still stays an 8. 1 yellow, that becomes a 5, and 1 white becomes a 3, so 27. Just like that. The 2 and the 7, that works perfectly fine. Now, it was 2 reds, 1 yellow, and 1 white. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 wires. If there's exactly one port with exactly 1 wire, correct, and more than 1 wire of that color, we happen to get the exact same case for this again. So yeah, this red wire there's exactly 1 port with 1 wire in it, and more than 1 wire of the red. In this case, that's true. So we're going to cut the second wire of that color, which in this case is this one. Perfect. Okay. Let's head on to the next stage. So let's hold it down. All right, so 1 of each, perfect. So that'll be then 13, 10, 18, and a 6. So that'll be 47, which we can just do in a moment here. So we can just go to 47. So let's wait for that to come back around. We'll come around anyways, and we'll be good. And then we'll add 1 to each of these occurrences. Perfect. So bam, 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 and bam. And then this is an 8 wires case, because 1 is missing at the 11 port. Okay. If there is a red wire connected to A port, yes. A blue wire connected to B port, yes. And a yellow wire connected to C port, yes. But the first wire connected to the C port. So in this case, the first wire connected to the C port would be this red here. Therefore, we're going to cut this one. Perfect. Okay. And let's finish this. So let's do this. All right, 2 whites. There's no red, so 13. There is 1 blue that becomes 12. There is 1 yellow that becomes 20. And there's 2 blue that becomes 15. We get 60. So we can do, we have to wait 0.6. Oh, geez. Yep, we're gonna be here for a while, but this is the price you pay for getting it wrong. So, yeah, so we have 6.0. As you can see, this module can be a little bit annoying. It's fairly simple to do, but the hold and release times, as you can see, can be really annoying depending on the digits that you get. So, and there's no real way of kind of predicting it. So you kind of just make do. So be very careful around this with needies. It's something that I'd probably save for the end. So just be careful. So in this case, here comes 0.6 momentarily, and we should be good to go. just like that, is yourself. There you go. Very simple module, very simple concept to understand. Overall, not too bad. I don't mind it. It's just a very simple module to do. And that's all there really is to it. As always, thank you guys for watching. Remember to stay crazy, stay cool, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.